Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with another episode of Robe Chronicles. Today I'm going to be talking about Married at First Sight, Season 16, Nashville. Okay, so we start off quick. Like, honestly, I was still trying to fast forward through the commercials and they was already talking to Pastor Cal. I was like, wait, they started this quick. But Dom and Mac are sitting on the couch and they're giving their decision. And Pastor Kyle's like, well, is this the end? What decision are you guys making? Is this your decision day? You know, whatever. And Mac was like, oh, well, I just want to keep trying. And, I think we wouldn't do ourselves justice if we end right now. And Dom was like, I'm over it. And Pastor Cat was like, what is it? And she was like, this. And basically she didn't say it, but she eventually got to the point where she's like, I'm just over it. I want a divorce. This is my decision day. So they ended. And honestly, I'm not mad at it. I feel sometimes we spend a lot of times going through these relationships with these couples, and these people don't want to be together, but they want to be on TV. So they spend 8 weeks dragging us along as, viewers, when in reality, these are two people who should have never been together. So I'm glad Dom was like, let me cut that and nip it in the bud right now. Then Pastor Cal decides to be like, well, I think 25 was just a little bit too young to come on this show. And honestly, I think that's such a wrong analysis. I think of everybody who's on the show, Dom is the most mature because she's saying, like, I know I don't want to be in this. I know the person I'm sitting here with doesn't want to be in this. And I'm the only person that's going to be honest instead of worrying about being on TV and ending this right now. So I think Pastor Cal was trying to play her because of her age, but I definitely feel that she was just very mature actually in her response. And maybe they didn't like it because obviously they want to keep 5 couples for the show, so they feel like they wasted their time, gave them a free vacation. I get that. But I do think that Dom's response was actually a much more mature response than I think people want to give her credit for. But then she apologized to Mac and was like, I'm sorry, like I didn't want it to end this way, whatever. But either way, I'm on Dom's side for this because why waste our time as the viewer? Why waste Mac's time? Mac, why are you trying to waste her time? Why are you wasting Pastor Cal's time? I mean, to them, they don't think it's a waste of time because Pastor Cal gonna get paid regardless. But, it's everybody else as the viewer. Then we see that Gina decides to move in with Clint, separate rooms. I don't know if Pastor Cal said something that got her going, but y'all know last episode I was fed up with her for not wanting to move in. So I am glad that she came to her senses and decided to move in, because it's like, even if you're not in the same bedroom, you should be in the same house because y'all should be waking up together, going to bed, things like that to kind of get a feel for how you move, right? So I'm glad that she decided and changed her mind. Clint met with his friend to talk about it and how his relationship was going, which I thought was weird because later on when he invites his friends over, he didn't invite the friend that he met while out. I don't know, but either way, he met up with his friend and he was talking about how they weren't attracted to each other and whatever that we've been hearing since the beginning, or actually since the beginning of the honeymoon. And it was interesting to me because his friend said something that I really, really liked. He said, building attraction is easy in a very low pressure, low maintenance situation, whereas building attraction is something that's very high pressure, right? Like you feel like you have to be attracted like today because you only have 8 weeks, is like makes it really hard. And I have been saying this about Jasmine and Eris, Kirsten and Shaq. It's like, you may not find the person attractive and then you want to find them attractive. And because you only have 8 weeks, you're trying to force yourself to find this person attractive. And it's a little bit harder because you feel like you have to, rather than like, I've just been chilling with this person. You know what? they ain't too bad. Because when it happens organically, then you could see like the moment um, that you become attracted to the person. You could see the growth in the conversation and just feeling who the person is and becoming attracted to them that way, instead of feeling like there is a deadline on when I have to find this person attractive by, or this was all a wash. Um, and I think that sucks, but it is what it is. Um, then we see Eris talking to his cousin about not being attracted to Jasmine, and she's like laughing. And I'm like, her response, like I said, hasn't been that of like a family member, but more of an ex or someone that, you know, has liked you or has been with you, because it just seems a little like, I knew you wasn't gonna like her because she don't look like me type vibe. And that I just don't know why that vibe is there. Like, it's just something isn't quite right there. But I have to give it to her. She wasn't completely wrong, right? So she was talking about how all of Jasmine's responses sound like fake and, you know, staged. But one thing she did say is like, if what my cousin is saying is hurting your feelings, then girl, just say you're hurt. Like, why are you trying to be like, oh, who wouldn't be upset? Okay, I don't care about any of those other people. Are you hurt? Are you upset? Like, speak for yourself and say that you're hurt and say how you want to resolve this or where you want to go. And then she even said like, do you want to be a husband? And he was like, yeah. And then she was like, then do your husbandly duty. Like, and I get it. Like, Eris needs to just be like, I'm either going to have sex with this woman or I'm not. Because I already know that if they get to week 8, decision day, and they haven't had sex, they're going to say no. So it's almost like either have sex with her and find out if you can get to that compatibility, or don't and end it the same way Dom did. Because to me, Eris is the immature person, right? Like, you're over here with somebody who you know you don't like and will never like. And instead of just saying like, okay, girl, like, it's petty, I'm terrible, I'm not a good person, but I can't be with you because I don't find you attractive. He's like trying to drag this along and make us believe that he's working to be this better man or better person. And it's like, give me a break, right? Like, I don't really care. Then he asked her if she's gonna come to their like housewarming or whatever, and she's like, and Felina, his cousin, is like, well, I'm not gonna show up to something that I don't think is real. And I'm just like, ooh, okay. Because at the same time, yes, why are we playing this charade? Eris, if you want to play it, but I'm not going to play it with you. Like, I'm here right now talking to you because you probably need someone to have a conversation with, but like, let's stop playing this game that you're really married and you really think this is real, when we all know that's not true. Then we go to Nicole and Chris, and I still like their relationship, but I am finding myself liking Chris less and less. And it's funny because Nicole is talking to her friend about like how Chris is that nice guy that has all the things that she needs. And if this was normal and they were just dating, she would just like dip out on him. And I'm like, I kind of get it, because it almost seems like we're missing something about Chris, right? Like, I'm hoping against hope that he is a nice, kind, genuine person, like he's coming off here. But something a little sinister just feels like it's there for him. And I just don't know what it is, but it's like something is nagging me to feel that way. And I think maybe that's that nice guy, somebody's too good, too kind, and you just don't believe it. And that's how I'm starting to feel about Chris. Like, she was even saying it, like he always just wants to appease her. And she was like, you know, I feel like if this doesn't work, I'm going to be a problem. And that actually kind of shows why she's been giving in. Because I've been wondering, like, why is Nicole giving in to every little thing? Like, anytime he doesn't want to do anything or he has a problem, she's like, okay, yeah, you can have your dogs. We can sign leases. We could do this. And it's because she's afraid that when it ends, it's going to be her fault. So if she just keeps, I guess, giving in, then maybe they won't have any problems. But to me, that's unrealistic. People have problems, people argue, and they need to argue, and that's fine because they need to learn how each other argues, right? And if that is something that they can deal with or not. But if you're constantly trying to appease the other person so y'all don't argue, do you ever really know how you guys are in a relationship? Because the day that somebody feels like they can't fake anymore, what's going to happen, right? So that's where I kind of am. Then we go back to Eris and Jasmine, and they're talking, and Jasmine's basically like, he was like, I don't like how you don't want my cousin to be there. And then they showed us the clip of him trying to put her down for the list of who they're having. And she was like, I don't want her there. Like, she's negative. And I get that too, right? If you have a relationship and you feel like your relationship is brand new, you kind of want to protect it, right? So when you have negative energy coming into something that's new and maybe not stable and secure, that negative energy can actually play a part in tearing apart your relationship. So I'm on Jasmine's side on that because I get it. Like Eris is like, oh, that's my cousin, but you're like, oh, I know my cousin. Yes, but Jasmine doesn't, and she's negative to her. So for her to not want to be around her makes perfect sense. But men are men, and Eris is probably really used to getting whatever he wants, so that's why he feels like he can stand on that. And it's like, no. But yeah. Then we see Kirsten and Shaq, and they're getting ready for their homewarming. Why am I blanking on what it's called? Housewarming. And it's crazy because we don't actually see Shaq and Kirsten that much. Like, they always just show us little glimpses of their relationship. And I am convinced it's because Kirsten is boring. I just think that she's not giving them enough to want to record them and show their interactions and their relationship. I just don't think she's giving anything. Like, I think she's so boring, and they're just like, oh my God, what have we done? You know what I mean? That's how I feel the producers are feeling. Like, very nice girl, very sweet girl, but they're just like, we can't keep 24-hour loop of this. This is boring. But it's crazy because I think that they probably do have a good time together. I really do believe it, but there's just not any conflict or even real love, right? Like, or real sexual energy or anything that people want to see. So they just, show them when they have to. Kirsten maintains that she's not a good kisser, and that's why her and Shaq don't kiss. And I love that. I think it was either Kirsten's cousin's husband or Shaq's friend that was like, well, shouldn't Shaq be the shouldn't he determine if you're a bad kisser? Like, how are you saying, oh, I'm a bad kisser, that's why I don't like to kiss? Well, I'm sure maybe someone told her that in her past, but you don't know. Shaq may like the way you kiss, or he may be more vocal and tell you what parts of your kissing he doesn't like, so you can fix it, or you guys can have that. But yeah, I think Kirsten, she's just someone that should not be on Married at First Sight. She should go be boring with a man that she met at a bar or wherever she finds men, because I'm sure it's everywhere. I'm sure she's a beautiful girl, so I'm sure it's everywhere. But I don't want to watch her be boring on a show. I know it sounds bad, but I don't really care. And then Shaq was asking Kirsten's family, like, do you think I'm being too patient? I'm here to say yes. I think you are absolutely being too patient. Like, and her cousin even said it, like, there are situations that call for you as a man to be dominant. And I think that's maybe what Kirsten is used to. And even though she wants Shaq to be patient, she also wants him to come forward and be like, nah, girl, we doing this or we doing that. And it doesn't seem like that's Shaq's personality. But also, like I was talking about attraction, Shaq's friends mentioned that him and his wife were not attracted to each other when they first met each other. They were just friends, and it was through vibing and being cool that they realized that they were attracted. And he even said it, like, his wife can pinpoint the exact moment she could tell that he switched from just being a friend to looking at her like, oh, dang, she cute. And that's what Clint's friend was saying earlier. You need time for that to happen organically. But 8 weeks comes with pressure. It's like, I have to find you attractive. I have to. And if I don't, then this is a wash. It's over. It can never work. And I just think it's a tough situation to be in. Chris talks to Nicole's friends, and he was talking about like, oh, she gets a little bit more angry than I do, and which is different for him. And Nicole is funny because when she's talking to Chris's friend, she's like, I really just want us to compromise. Like, I want us to be happy because we're both getting what we want out of this relationship. And I get her part where she's like, if I keep asking you, like, are you sure? Are you sure? She's like, at some point, I can only ask, are you sure so much? Before it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna just take it, even though that may not be something that you like. And I agree with her. Like, Chris, you are an adult. You're a grown man who should be able to say what you like and don't like and not try to appease your wife all the time. I mean, yes, you should, but at the same time, you have a wife who's like, it's okay. Tell me your side. What do you want? And that's because she knows his past trauma of always being overly too nice and getting taken advantage of. And she is attempting to be a good wife and partner and supply him with the opportunity to tell her what he wants and doesn't want, which I think is really cool of her. I do think it was interesting that we saw Dom talking to her mom about her relationship, and her mom actually was kind of holding her to the fire. Like, are you sure this is what you want? Do you think you were too hasty? Do you asking those type of questions. And it's funny because I get it. She's on TV and she probably feels pressure. So, Dom is trying to be diplomatic, but you could tell she's really sure of herself. This is what I want. This is the decision I made. So when people keep calling her immature, I'm like, this is a girl who knows what she's doing, and she knows what she did, because her mama's not getting her to waver on her point, and no one could really get her to waver on her point, it seems like. So I was proud of her. I was like, okay, girl, just because your mom signed you up doesn't mean she gets to dictate if you stay together or not, and I like that. Clint and Gina, seems like they're giving it a really good second chance coming off of their issue. Like, I'm quite surprised, right? Because I definitely thought Gina was never going to get over that hump, because honestly, she's being pretty annoying about it. But it seems like she's really coming back into this the second time. Like, okay, I'm going to give this man a chance. And Clint, I mean, I feel like he was always there. I still think Clint finds her to be very attractive and was just really offended that she didn't find him attractive. So I'm just happy that they're working it out. But I was surprised when they came to the group and Dom and Mac showed up, and Mac asked everybody like, oh, has anybody slept together? Whatever. And I'm like, why would you ask that knowing that y'all divorced? Y'all had your decision day early. Like, it just seems, I don't know, maybe they tell him to ask, I don't know. But it was crazy because Chris and Nicole admitted that they have had sex and nobody else has. It's because nobody else likes each other. But that's besides the point. And I think that it was, I couldn't believe that all of the couples, well, besides like Eris and Jasmine, but it seemed like every other couple or one person in the couple was very vocal about getting Dom and Mac to stay together. Like, Nicole was like, I love you, this and that, you're gonna regret it. Kirsten was like, you didn't even give him a chance, blah, 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 blah. And Clint was like, no, you guys need to try again, this and that. And I was just like, y'all really care. This girl knows what she's doing, and stop trying to push her to make her a different decision than the one she's made. Especially Nicole. I was like, girl, you are pushy. And in that moment, then Dom was like, oh, well, maybe it'll work if, if under different circumstances. And everybody was like, okay, to maybes, whatever, they cheers. Then we see a little confessional from Mac, and he's like, oh, just like a young child to be immature and wishy-washy and back and forth and this and that. And I'm like, this is intentional on the producer's part, because she is in a group with 4 other couples looking at her, pressuring her, telling her, what are you going to do? How are you going to call it quits so soon? You can't do that. You need to give it a chance. Of course she's going to say maybe, because she just wants to appease y'all and go the heck home. So for Mac to turn around and try to use that against her, like, baby, she has not changed her mind. She is just trying to get out of that situation without having to fight people. And I think that, I think that Dom was in the right here. Like, of course, you just say whatever you need to do because you're in a group setting. You don't want to fight. You want to go home. And that's what she did. And I think that Mac is trying to make her seem like this, immature child. And I think the producers like that look. And I think they like to make her look that way, because we saw in the after party, she mentioned that Mac was really rude about it when she texted him afterwards. And in the last after party, she mentioned that he had just cussed her out and gone off on her prior to Pastor Cal showing up. If production wanted us to see that Mac wasn't as good of a person as she is saying, they would have played that clip. But they purposely left it out so we can just look at Dom as this bratty, immature 25-year-old, when that may not be the case. And I don't like that. But then production has the choice to put in and not put in whatever they want. So sometimes you got to think about that when you're looking at these couples and making, I guess, rash decisions on who they are and what they are, is that production gets to determine that. But like I said, I think Dom's the only person being honest. I wish Eris would be honest and be like, Jasmine, I'm not attracted to you. Let's call it decision day today. Because it's like, you don't like that girl, and you're not going to like her, and you're not going to be attracted to her, because whatever it is blocking. But the previews for next episode, I don't know what's going on with Shaq and Kirsten, but it sounds like things are getting a little interesting. Like they might be leaning towards having sex. Clint talks about getting somebody pregnant. I'm like, okay, please let this have been a past tense thing, and that situation is over with, because if he's telling her that he got a girl pregnant while on this show, we cannot have another Chris and Paige situation. Please. Absolutely not. So I am excited, very excited to see next episode. It's funny because I'm always excited for the episodes because they play the best part in these commercials and these clips, and then they always end up being like okay or lackluster. But I'm really, really hoping that as we go into episode 9 or 10 that we get more from them. Like they have all been a little drab, a little boring. I'm glad Dom made this decision. I don't want to waste my time with that couple for 8 weeks for nothing. So I'm just hoping that the rest of them pick it up and give us more. So please like, comment, subscribe, share. Please, please, please subscribe and leave comments, because I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree? Do you disagree? And I will see you back here next week to go over another episode. See ya.